we already know that most Americans are on
better because our politicians are bought off.
Awesome. Not awesome, but damn. Wrong word.
Better because our politicians are
any
bought off.
last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start, damn. Pushing wrong word. This is where we need to be for any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start, damn. Oh, Courtney, pushing. Wrong word.
Just getting ready to be available
for any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start, damn.
Trump is now talking about
wrong word.
Just getting ready to be available
for everybody.
Any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start, damn.
Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start, damn.
Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start,
Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start,
these politicians. Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start,
these politicians. Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start,
these politicians. Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start,
these politicians. Trump is now talking about
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start,
these politicians.
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? There's lots of things to do for us to start. Thank you, totally agree. Do you have something?
wrong word. Just getting ready to be available
any last little bits from the audience before we move forward? Do you have something you need to say, Thank you, totally agree. Do you have something?
wrong word.
Our district is 25% bigger than New Jersey. We visited over 30 towns in our district, places that are deep, deep red, towns of 700 people. We were horseback riding with a rancher a few weeks ago, and he was talking about how he was open carrying his gun, and he was talking about how he could totally get on board for Medicare for all. He's sick of going from job to job and not having health care, or having it disappear, or having it be completely out of his control because your employer-based health care has nothing to do with what you want. And, in the face of this crisis, we already know that most Americans are on board for this, and doing what we can to be advocates for Medicare for all, for single payer healthcare. It's not something that ends after one election. It doesn't happen immediately. One election doesn't end. One person doesn't get elected, and all of a sudden it's figured out. All of a sudden we have it done. We have a lot going against us, because when those corporations, when those pharmaceutical companies, when those insurance providers charge you outrageous amounts, the money you have to give them then goes to their lobbying, then goes to their funding of political campaigns. And so they're not going to stop fighting. They're not going to give up. And so we better keep that fight going, because it's not just for me. It's not just for you. It's for the people we don't know. It's for future generations. And the fight has to happen. So I just wanted to add that on there.
Oh, very much appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So with our revolution, we're fortunate, like I said, from the beginning, that not only do we get to be able to get behind and really fight for all the issues that we are all desperately needing, from Medicare for all, Green New Deal, all the things, right? We get to find and get behind progressive candidates who can help enact these policies that we desperately need. So we're very happy and thankful that you guys are all able to join us tonight. Standing up and running for office takes a lot of I was gonna cut, but I won't. So thank you guys for stepping up and giving us somebody to rally behind. And we do want to make sure that everybody understands that. I know they're not actively asking for money because of what's going on, and we can't go door to door, but there's many, many, many ways to help out. So please reach out. Those that are watching on YouTube, and if you're not watching on there, please come to the YouTube channel, UpHill Media. We'll be sharing that out. But in the description, there's a little drop down. I don't know if everybody realizes that, but in the description are all the links to all the websites that we've talked about tonight, all the candidates where you can find them. So everything is in there. So please go to that and use that as your base, copy and paste it if you want. So this last little bit, we're going to be running just a little bit over, but this last little bit is actions, right? What we can do. And in this drop down, again, like I said, there's links to these. There's a few ways that you can help. You can go, please go to the rrevolution.com/page/Medicare -voter. Please sign up as a Medicare for all voter. That'll help get you into our revolution and all the things that we do. And we'll get your info, and you can come in and help with Washington State. There's that pledge signature drive, or signing up to volunteer through Whole Washington. The link is there. We have phone banking. Right now we do them on Fridays and Sundays. We'll most likely expand as we get going, but you can sign up through the Mobilize link there. There is trainings on Sundays at 3:30, and then we start calling at 4. And then now, what we were talking about earlier, the Medicare for All resolutions. I'd like to bring in Tom again. Tom is from HealthCare for Oregon. And he has been working on passing resolutions in Oregon for a while. He's done some city and I think county and other things. So Tom, will you do you mind talking about what you guys have been doing there?
No, I'm ready to go for it.
Excellent. Let's go, Tom.
I'm a clinician, so like the next patient is in, it's time to move on, right? So, okay, so I can share my screen, can I?
Yes.
I'm Tom Sinsick with HealthCare for All Oregon. We've been actually working with Melinda St. Louis and the Medicare for All group, had her out here, and we coordinated with her for the single payer conference in Portland in October. And the model resolution that we have at HealthCare for All Oregon, that's hcao.org, is built and in conjunction with Melinda St. Louis and the Medicare for All campaign. They've been passing resolutions in Oregon for many years. So the fact that Washington is first, or Seattle, I think this is like, sorry, not quite right, because I will show you. I'm going to go to the website. I got to share here, don't I? Share. share screen. Somebody got some concerns there. Let me go to there. This is our website. Everybody in, nobody out. Common theme. We've got a thing called legislation. Under that, it says local resolutions. And in there, it shows where we have passed local, we have a map where local resolutions have been passed in Oregon. Some of those are listed right here, and the date and time, 2016, 2017, 17, 18, 17, 18, 16, 17, 19. So there's a bunch of them in different locations. But in addition to, governmental legislation like cities and counties, we've been also working on organizational. So you hear that the Oregon State Grange has actually passed a resolution. That was in June of 2019. And also not yet up is the Oregon AFL-CIO passed a resolution in, I believe, October of 2019, which we've got to add to this. So our information, which is more basically state-based, and we have a, let's see, local under our act, you want to do, that's the information about the legislation that's been passed. Who can do it, where, when, how, a whole system, some resources, including the current HCAO model resolution. Let me see if I can bring that up. That people can adopt. Every governmental body has its own way of doing things and stating resolutions. So I wouldn't be too particular about exactly the language, but the idea of including what's important going forward. References in this case to Oregon law, since this is Oregon thing. References to federal law, Oregon House of Representatives. References to both the Medicare for All Act and Medicare for All, let's see, the state-based item. So the addition that would now come on here would be in support of the state-based Universal HealthCare Act to help us as states. And so there's the resolves, and it includes both what we want our government to do, our Oregon state government to do, or what we want. It says name of government entity. What are you asking this governmental entity to do? If it was the state, in this case, we're asking our governmental entity to call on federal legislators to work towards an immediate enactment, right? Or here, federal delegation to create pathways for states to do it. That would be the State-Based Universal Healthcare Act. So as you can see, these things have to be adaptable. And this is the model we're using for Oregon. And people can go to our website and do this. And we have some tips for successful campaign, not too complicated. It begins with one person or a small group of people. The idea of getting, let me get off of this, I think. I'd rather see people. There's the previous resolutions link there, which I showed you. Sometimes I scroll too fast, but the main thing is for people, for people to go to hcao.org or the Medicare for All public citizen site, either of those places, and gather information that works for the community that you're working with. But any governmental body, school board, city, county, a key element, of course, is finding the one person that might be your advocate inside that governmental body. Makes it a lot easier. And I would suggest go for the low-hanging fruit. Don't fight like someplace where nobody's in favor of this. Start working up numbers in the easy places, because although our system, we want everybody in and nobody out, we don't need everybody to get this stuff passed. We just need enough people and enough action going forward. So with that, if that's clear enough, I can take any questions.
Oh, sorry, I was talking with being muted. I apologize. Yes, that is clear. And we do want to open it up. There was one question from earlier, and actually, I think it ties into this piece as well. This is from Joshua Copeland. He's with local Bernie-crats. And he really focuses on getting local candidates, getting local candidates elected. And this is where we do want to find those people who are running for those local offices. When you ask them about if they support or will champion, a Medicare for all system, if they let you know that it's not at their level, it is down to our local levels. We have to get local to start getting this passed statewide and federally. So what do you guys think? He was asking you, what do you guys think are some of the important pieces of being able to, all levels of government?
I have a comment on influencing elected officials or candidates to come.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, so one of Whole Washington's strategies and how we got the most endorsements is to let people know when they do endorse Whole Washington, we'll share their endorsement on social media. Tweet it out, share it on Facebook, send emails to our supporters, because we have a lot of supporters in the state. So a lot of candidates and elected officials kind of want to know what's in it for them. So if you tell them that by demonstrating their support for HealthCare for All Oregon or Whole Washington or Medicare for All, that you'll let your supporters know that they're a strong advocate for universal healthcare, that does go a long way with these candidates. Of course, candidates on this call, you don't need to do that because they just believe in it because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly. Thank you, Georgia. Anybody have any questions out there for Tom? I know that Georgia was a part of the Seattle one as well. Did you guys go around and do any petitions first to find out who are supporters to take that to the city council?
So I've moved. Now I'm in Eastern Washington. And I do want to start a resolution drive here. Spokane would be the closest city to do that in. But when I was in Seattle, we are very lucky to have Council Member Shama Sawant, who is a huge advocate for all things progressive, all of our values here with the Bernie-crats. And so her office wrote the resolution, and she asked Whole Washington to bring in a lot of supporters, a lot of our volunteers, so that the other city council people got to see how many people believed in Medicare for All and universal healthcare. And that, I think, combined with Shama Sawant's amazing speech that she gave before the resolution was read, helped get it passed. So that's one thing that you definitely want to consider, is recruiting for a large amount of people to come to testify for the resolution.
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, and thank you also to Jason Call for reminding me about the Washington State Democratic Central Committee vote a couple years back when we endorsed Pramila Jayapal's bill. Again, like that, getting your local Democratic Party organization to pass resolutions and then move that up to your state party really is an amazing way to get media attention for the bill and to get word out. So when a central committee meets, it's people from all over the state, and they might not have heard of the great bills that we have to get universal health care, both statewide and nationally. So that's definitely something that you want to do. Any organization, DSA, Indivisible, all of those organizations can endorse these bills.
So I think what I would add in this is that really lay out your strategy. If one person can talk to, like I did, one county commissioner, like we did in Multnomah County, and they're ready to take the lead on it, let them take the lead. And then you have a bunch of people showing up at the hearing and it's a done deal. Don't burn up more energy than you need to get something on the books, because what you're trying to do is get an impression and get some media. Now, if you look at our list, we've got some very small communities. So the fight wasn't always easy. If one of them was the city of Albany, it was a 3-2 council vote and one person wavering, and then people showed up to testify to create that vote in the one little conservative city of Albany into the small place in Oregon, and then Little Talent, Oregon. So lay out your strategy. Who are the people who are going to be involved? And what do you really have to do to get the job done? And obviously, if you can get media attention to get that more expanded, that's really good. So thanks.
I just wanted to throw in there that it's great to, I'm one of the whole Washington volunteers. I am also on the state platform committee. So I will be pushing to keep this in the state platform, and for tougher, I would say, tougher penalties for additional people who want Democratic Party endorsement that don't actually support our platform. And I think that's really important to hold people accountable. But I also just want to shout out to wholewashington.org. They have an amazing website. There's tons of training and information, and it's a very well put together place that you can actually learn to be trained and go to your local areas. I also want to put a shout out in for unions. We really want to get union support behind this and labor, and make sure that people know that they can do this from all angles. It doesn't have to be part of the party. It can be, I've taken resolutions to just employers, to box stores, you can get any level of if, basically anything more than 3 people, they can sign on to support this and get that passed.
Jason has something.
I'll also add that if you can stomach going to your local Democratic Party county or legislative district meetings, if you can, we have an important date coming up here in mid-March when all of the candidates who you have met tonight will be filing for their office. You can also file for the PCO office. The reason I tell you that is because the PCO is the lowest precinct committee officer. It is the lowest level elected office in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party for that matter. But that gives you voting power on who gets your endorsements. Now, one of the things that we have had happen in the 44th legislative district here where I am is we had one of our county council members just retire. He took a high-paying job somewhere else, and so that opened up a vacancy. Well, the guy who is the likely appointee for that vacancy on the county council is our freshman legislator. I mean, we just worked hard to get this guy elected to Olympia, and now he wants to come back and take that county council seat. He's got personal reasons for doing it. I don't think it's a good decision. But what that allows us to do now is appoint a legislative seat. And the people who have the power of that appointment are the PCOs. The PCOs get to vote on the top 3 nominees who will get that appointment for the 44th legislature and then be essentially the incumbent in office. So you have some power if you are willing to take on this office and go to the meetings and vote where you need to. And yes, there's a lot of nonsense sometimes that you got to sit through. And yes, the Democratic Party is divided. And so, you've got the Bernie Sanders wing, and then you got the corporate centrist wing, and there's a lot of loggerheads there. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you, but if we can get in at that level and maintain that power within the party, we can influence who is going to represent us in the legislature, especially around this time where you have appointments. Now, I also want to say with that is if you have that voting power in your district, in your legislative district or your county Democratic Party, what one of the districts up here, the 21st legislative district, has done, and they've made it part of their bylaws that you cannot be endorsed by that district if you do not support Medicare for all. You know, you have the power to write those rules if you are involved at that level. So I highly encourage it. I know for many people watching here, it may be thoroughly distasteful, but you know, we do have an opportunity to seize some power, as it were, that we have been trying to do over the last 4 years. It's hard to get people to stick around. So if you're going to do it, please stick around and show up to those meetings. But that's exactly how Mariana and Georgia and I all got ourselves elected to the state committee. We worked hard to get people to file for this office, and they in turn supported us to be members of the state central committee. So, you know, give it a shot.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, we will be doing actually another one of these events kind of around that. There's going to be some more meetings actually very shortly regarding that piece to it. Thank you, Jason. Tom does have to leave. Like I said, we are a few minutes over. So anything left for Tom before we say goodbye to him? Or Tom, anything else you want to make sure you say before we head out?
Thank you for this opportunity. Go Washington. Go Oregon.
Oregon's next. So that is one thing. So we are our revolution, and we are more than just a state group. It is a national organization. And Emma in Oregon is working with us. So hopefully we'll be helping to get this going next in Oregon. And I'm sure you'll be a big part of that too, Tom. So we will see you soon. Thank you again. All right, Amber, do you want to go through our events that are coming up? And then I think we're about finished.
Yeah, I know Oz was queuing up some finishing music for us. Thank you for pitching in. We're a little over time that we'd planned, but you know, we're all adjusting to these things. So thank you very much. So what we have going on, our Revolution Washington Bernie-crats, we are going to be doing these town halls every Saturday night for you from 7 to 9. So we'll cover a bunch of different topics. We will definitely make healthcare for all, you know, Medicare for all a big piece of that. We are also going to continue with our phone banking. Obviously, that's something that we can all do from home. Many of us have a lot more extra time. Right now, we have scheduled to do those every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. It's online. We have a calendar, we have links, and then we do them every Sunday from at 3:30. We start with an online training, and then the calls go from 4 to 6. You just need a computer and a cell phone. Headset's ideal if you have it, but not required. And it's the same dialer that the Bernie campaign's using. So if you've done any Bernie volunteers or calls, it's very similar, except for you're calling people for our revolution. And what we want to do is we want to keep building people in our state and beyond. We also want to help get our endorsed candidates and initiatives like Whole Washington pushed forward. So there's a huge focus on that in the next coming months. We're also going to be doing some informative things about being in a campaign, as well as some of the changes that are happening with the caucuses for picking our national delegates. If or if not, we're going anywhere, or maybe we'll be having conventions from home, TBD on that. But we are going to be having these conversations on Friday night. We also have an 11 a.m. check-in every day, just health and wellness. How are you doing? Love for you to join us on those. We're going to be doing some resource and community mutual aid mapping as well. Make sure everybody's got what they need. And, you know, we want to keep building with our community. We have weekly meetings at 7:30 on Sunday nights. So anything else I missed, please hop in, Rhonda or Courtney.
I think we're good on that. Courtney, anything you want to say towards the end here?
Well, it's a little off topic, but I look forward to us putting forth a COVID-friendly neighborhood outreach process. And I'm dropping this on Rhonda and Amber as well. So surprise. So I would like to have about an hour Zoom broadcast based just on how to network your neighbors in a time of health crisis. So responsible and respectful of the reality.
Already on the books, babe. Already on the books. Not surprising at all. So yes, that'll be part of the COVID and mutual aid. Perfect segment in that for that piece. All right. Thank you everybody again for watching in all of the spaces that we're able to push out tonight. Special thanks to our guests for taking the time out and hanging with us for the last couple hours as well. And again, Oz, for all your magic you do behind the scenes to make this production as beautiful and seamless as possible. And to all of our candidates, again, thank you for stepping up and thank you for taking your time with us. And you guys have a beautiful night. And every Saturday now we're going to be doing something. So stay tuned. And then again, join us with our daily meetings Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. All right, let the music roll.
Time to finally realize we the people must make some choices. If we want single-payer health care, now's the time to raise our voices till they hear us in the halls of government and behind each corporate door. That we're sick and tired of getting less and less while paying more and more. Put people before profit. Join with many doctors, nurses, and other concerned Americans in support of America's best and most affordable health care plan. Single-payer, improved Medicare for all. Let them hear us. Medicare for all, because healthcare is a right. Medicare for all, and the U.S. saw the light. That the best healthcare plan is a single-payer plan. Now's the time to finally put it on the table. Contact your legislators and tell them to save Medicare as we know it and expand it into Medicare as we need it. Improved Medicare for all, because your interests are special too.
The COVID-19 pandemic is an unprecedented crisis for this country. The virus is 10 times more deadly than the seasonal flu.